Technology is shaping our lives, from smartphones to tablets, personal computers, and who knows what else in the future. And they're all powered by semiconductors. I'm here with Intel's futurist, Brian David Johnson, to talk about the future of Intel and technology. Thanks for joining us, Brian.
Oh, it's great to be here.
I recently read Physics of the Future by Cuckoo, and he talks about Moore's Law and its effect on the economy. What do you think about Moore's Law for the next 15 to 20 years?
Well, I think what's interesting about Moore's Law is always to remember that it's not a scientific law. It's a guiding principle. It's something that has pushed us in an observation. So the work that I do looks about 10 to 15 years out, and we still look pretty good. Moore's Law is still kind of holding on, but you're right, at some point the laws of physics tell us that Moore's Law will come to an end. But I think the guiding principle of it can help us look to new technologies and different types of compute that I still think it's incredibly exciting.
Wearable technology. We're seeing reports about Google Glass, smartwatches, and who knows what else comes in the future in the next 15 or 20 years. How is Intel positioned for this, and what do you think about wearable technology?
Well, I think probably the most important sort of point that's coming is the year 2020, because around the year 2020, the size of meaningful computational power begins to approach zero. That's 14 nanometers or 7 nanometers. That's 21 atoms across. And it means we can turn anything into a computer. And it fundamentally changes the questions we ask ourselves about the technology that we're developing. It's not, can we do it? Can we make it small enough? The idea now is what? What do we want to do? Because we can turn anything into a computer. And from a business standpoint, and from a technology standpoint, that's radically different. It's not a device world anymore. We're literally living inside of smart machines and smart buildings and smart cities. And how we architect for that, how we imagine those futures is radically different than what we've been doing over the last few decades.
Where does nanotechnology play a role in the future?
Well, nanotech, I'm actually not an expert in nanotech, to be quite honest. I'm a technological futurist that really looks at how people will act and interact with technology. I think nanotech has hit some bumps recently, and because of those form factors get so small that you have some materials issues that are coming up. I'm really interested in things like sort of synthetic biology, where you're creating these biological machines and these different machines where we're bounded not by the materials and some of the feedback and some of the static that we get in those materials, but when you have synthetic biology, you're actually working at the level of DNA and the level of single-cell organisms, which then you don't run up against the same problems, the materials problems that you have with nano.
The last question that I have for you, Brian, is how is Intel positioned for a post-Silicon world?
When I look at the future of Intel, and I look out, and so much of what I do in that 10 to 15 year time frame is to think about how people will act and interact with technology. And for me, when I think about the future of Intel, I don't think about, is Intel a server company or a laptop company or a smartphone or a tablet or even a sensor or a remote company. One of the things that we're really good at from an engineering standpoint is making computational intelligence. We can turn anything into a computer. And for me, that's a radically different way of thinking about Intel, that we're a company that manufactures intelligence. And as you start to look at the business landscape and the compute landscape, it's a pretty good place to be when you're manufacturing this at a massive scale, that I think we're pretty well set up for the future.
Thanks for coming on, Brian.
It was a pleasure talking to you.